Hi everyone. For today's episode, I am going to be hosting this one all on my own, and this is just a really simple yet deep topic that maybe you might be interested, maybe not, but I just thought it was something new that just kind of popped into my head one day, and I was thinking about memories and the role that they play in our lives. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and maybe if you resonate with whatever I'm saying, let me know, or let me know if you just like this topic, because you'll get more topics like these, a little bit, you could say, random or unique, and there's a bunch to discuss. So, first off, I wanted to kind of go over what role do memories play in our lives. And because I'm doing this all on my own, then I'll answer personally for all of these questions that I created. But memories, to be honest, don't play that much of a role in my life, as they are definitely important. I do look back a lot. I do notice things to take what I learned in the past and use it to get better in the future, also learn from them. But sometimes I disregard my memories, and I'll speak a little bit about that later on. But for me, I guess I could say I have a little bit of a bad memory. So I tend to forget things very easily, and that's why repetition is something that really holds me together. But I don't often think about the past, and I feel like that is something that we kind of all should be like. Like, we don't need to ponder all about the past when we have a present to focus on, and also a future that some of us are planning and working hard to achieve and reach the goals that we want to get to. So, the next question is, what types of memories are there, or what will I be speaking about? And so I am kind of covering the memories of a bunch of categories, from what you ate for breakfast or lunch today, or the childhood memories that give you the happy times that are so precious to you. So I'll be going over a little bit all around what memories are. And so for me, I think memories or stories, they originate from what is important to you, what holds value. And so they could be bad, they could be good. There's not much to describe it, because the weird thing is my memory sometimes fails me, but in a moment I could remember something that's totally irrelevant, something that isn't important in my book, in my mind. But at other times, there's special memories that I want to hold on to forever. And so there's this thing where sometimes I feel like memories are not real. And what I mean by that is, when you have childhood memories, or you're thinking about, childhood nostalgia, do you ever think that what you're thinking now, 10 years later, 5 years later, a month later, is it somehow distorted by time? As in, did you create new people, new scenarios? Did you change the words that someone actually said, the look that someone had on their face? Was it imagined? So for me, I always remember that when I think back, one time I visited Vancouver and we took a picture of me sitting on a bridge. And something just simple like that, I would look at this picture 8 years later, and I'd say to myself, "Oh, I remember getting on that bridge. It was so fun." Right? But then when I speak with my parents, I feel like I actually don't remember, but I make myself feel like I remember, because I'm looking back at the documentation or the pictures that prove as evidence or as proof that something did happen. But I feel like sometimes I like to look at the physical memories and then add on to that myself, but I actually don't know, because I don't remember a lot of what happened in the moment. And I can't say the same for you guys, but for whoever's listening, Do you guys kind of get what I mean? As in, you're kind of adding on to or changing the memories that you have. Maybe it's been too long. Maybe it just didn't stick with you as much as you thought it would. I don't know, but it's like creating another world, one that's like fantasy, one that's half real, half fake, I guess you could say. And so I'm asking myself, but what happens to the ones I forget? Well, the memories that I forget, most of the time, they're just lost. To be honest, they're lost. But there's some where when I have bad memories, and I'll speak more about on bad memories later, I feel like my parents, they tend to remember the things that I tell them, which I love. I really appreciate everything that they've done and all that they remember, but there's just sometimes I find it so strange that I have these days where I express my feelings and my emotions, and then I forget about them because it's like a release and move on for me a little bit. And so when I'm done crying or talking or laughing at something that was so funny that day, I just forget it. And most of the time, if it was like, I have this habit, I don't know if you have it, maybe you have it, maybe you've heard of it, maybe you think it's strange, but when I laugh too much, I start to cry. And I don't exactly know why, but when that happens, I tend to remember these moments the most. And I'd say they're not necessarily the happiest moments of my life. They're not necessarily the funniest, but it it really made a mark in the moment, and it doesn't happen often. Or it started happening more often as time went on. And it's just something that I love to think about and look back on when I think about whenever these occurrences did happen. And so a lot of these memories that I don't remember, surprisingly, my parents remember, and then I would have no idea what they're talking about. Like sometimes I'll tell someone something that I think is so important in the moment, and all of a sudden I forget about it when they mention it again. So I think just memories are very strange and very manipulatable and all of that. And so I guess moving on, where are these memories? And I'll start with memories that could follow you forever. So by that, I'm talking about more physical memories. So if you think about scars, sometimes they fade, sometimes they leave this sounds a little weird, but they leave a little texture on your skin. And so for me, I don't have anything against scars, but I I think I remember where most of mine came from, and I guess those all serve as memories of the moment that they happened, and they're not all bad. Sometimes they're stories of how clumsy I was, and it's not necessarily something to be embarrassed about or regretful because it happened. It's on me. It's stuck on me. Scars don't just go away like that, really. But you know what? You just move on. You're more careful next time with whatever you do. It's really like lessons learned. And so I also touched a little bit upon memories that slip away. Well, I wanted to mention how do you hold on to them? So what do you tend to remember, and what do I tend to forget? And so when I think about these questions, I think I tend to remember the moments of despair, like where I feel the most the most forgotten or the most alone. I am a very social person, and so when I have a feeling that there's nothing around me, where I'm kind of hopeless, where I mean everyone has these moments, but or maybe you haven't, maybe you haven't, I'm not assuming, but when I feel like I'm just so overwhelmed, this is weird because when I'm overwhelmed by maybe there's a lot of schoolwork and then a lot of outside work, I tend to cry it over and then let it go. But if I remembered something, it would be this moment where I'm releasing my emotions for a long time. And the thing is, when I start remembering something, I remember multiple memories after that, and they add on, and they can make me feel worse. And most of the memories, I'd say, are probably sad memories, but they're hidden in the back of my mind bank. As in, I do have happy memories, and I'll get a little bit on that soon. What are the memories that I don't tend to remember? And this is not something that I really think about, but I guess I could say food. As in, when I eat tacos one day, and then 2 days later, I'll go to another place and eat tacos, my parents will ask me, "Oh, so which one's better?" And I'll be like, "Well, the other place is good, but I don't remember the flavor." So things like that, things like food, I don't really remember. Like, I'll say, "Okay, this place had good food," but I don't hold on to things like that. And I don't know if you do. Do you compare? If any of you watchers, listeners, if you go to a restaurant or if you go to an amusement park, do you have some favorite part of it, and then when you go to another place, you start to compare which one was better? I don't know, because sometimes that doesn't even always come to mind. I just enjoy the moment, and I've kind of been repeating this, but I let it go, and I still have those happy memories, and a lot of them are through pictures and through physical things, which I'll talk about right now. So, actually, in a little bit, what do I remember that's meaningful? So, what's meaningful to me is when, or what's impactful is something that I've seen been going on, as in when I'm observant or when there's repetition, something that helps me remember. I tend to think the meaningful things are when you feel like the memories are a part of your life, a part of what kind of forms who you are, what changed your life in a way. So they may be small moments, but when they add up together, they really make a difference in how you see things, how you view the world. And I feel like that's a big part of what makes memories so impactful. And again, there's ones that you just forget easily, but sometimes I feel like when you lose it for a reason. Or when you remember something, you're remembering it for a reason. And that's really strange when there's some things that you don't want to remember, some things that you just remember and you don't know why. And that I will also mention a little later. But let's talk about physical memories. And by that, I mean like objects, kind of. And so I'm wondering, how do you guys keep your memories in different places? How do you take it with you? For me, I use collections, and I have a lot of collections. Now, some of them are not necessarily for memories, but the specific ones from where I travel to, what parks I go to, um, who I meet. The big I'm gonna try to go for top five. Top five for me are: one, it'll be memory books. So like with pictures of everywhere, of all the landmarks, of the people. I really love taking pictures of people. Sometimes I take random photos, and that's just me. I like to pose. And so the second thing for me would be Souvenir Pennies. I don't know if you've heard of it. I recently learned that a lot more people collect them than I thought. And so basically they're pressed pennies, and when you put your coins in or a dollar into the machine, the penny comes out with it's embedded with the design that you chose, or maybe that was randomly chosen. But it's just really cool because something so simple like a penny and pressed, I don't know, it's like a new idea. And it's small enough and really easy to collect because there's souvenir penny books, and I have a couple where I'm just ready to store my memories from wherever I go. So I really like to collect souvenir pennies. My dad used to collect like very special quarters where the design was not the typical eagle, but something like a Zen garden or the mountains with a cowboy or a harvester on it. It really depends, but just something so small could mean so much. And even just with the engravings on it, it really makes one penny something that could be so valuable when you look back and you remember, oh, I remember that place and it was one of the best moments of my life. So when I go on to the third object that kind of gives me memories, I like to collect cards, and this was actually two different cards, but I'll go on one first. I do collect cards as in the written ones. So birthday cards, thank you cards, congratulations, and so on. So when people write me a card, I think it's just really meaningful because these words can mean so much. It's like a reminder that I'm there, I'm present. And they made the effort to go and not just talk to me, but write to me. And that makes me feel really special. So I hold these memories dear to my heart. And I just really, whenever I get a gift or when I haven't seen someone in so long, the first thing that I always look forward to is the words that they have to say. And so it's kind of like these reviews when people leave reviews, right? If you want to leave feedback for me or just any reviews, I am so thankful because I love to look over it. And I don't mind if you find some loopholes, as in you don't really like something about these podcast episodes, or you really love something, you have ideas and so on. I like to read anything, and everything is really helpful. So moving on, this was not my idea. It was actually one of my friends. She started collecting cards in a drawer, and I thought, oh, you still have my card when I wrote you a random scratch piece of paper in second grade. That's interesting. So I read through it and it made no sense. There was no context. It was really funny, but because all I did, I wrote to her and I decorated the border with fruits, watermelon and carrots, so vegetables as well. And then in the card, I wrote, I went to the beach and got a tan. Now, if you think about that, it makes no sense. Even the decorations on the card make no sense. And so I guess I was a little quirky back then. I have no idea why I did that. But she kept that lined piece of paper that I gave her and colored with crayon. And that made a mark on me. And I was like, oh, you know what? If I start collecting cards and people write random stuff to me, in the future, I could just go back and laugh at it. Or I could think this was something really meaningful and words that I never want to forget, things that I want to hold on to. And so I keep these cards in a drawer now. And I have about, like, let's say 20 to 30 over half of my life. And I just like to look back at them, and they make me feel really acknowledged and special. And I'm so thankful to all those people who wrote to me for any occasions. And I guess going on to the third thing that I collect, which is the other type of cards, I collect decks of cards. And I also have a cousin who collects decks of cards for magic tricks because he is a magic master. But for me, they're more for fun. I really like playing games, really like card games, moving my hands, doing things really fast. But with these cards, I pick the ones where there's descriptions, there's photos of landmarks, there's fun facts, something that makes the experience more fun than if you just had normal hearts, spades, clovers, and I think I'm doing this wrong, but diamonds. Yeah. Okay, so sometimes there'll be random minions or random flower types. So it just really varies from where I travel to. I have potato cards from Idaho. I have some bird cards from Little Tokyo, and sometimes they don't even match the place I go to, but they're memories and they're really fun to keep. So I'm actually going to stick with that. Those are the four things that I collect that give me good memories, and I love to just really hold on to them. I love to look back, and maybe you guys have things that you collect, maybe even unintentionally. You know what? I have one friend who this is very interesting. We went on a trip together, and she collected pieces of floor. And you might think this is a little strange, but really it's just like collecting shells from the beach. Collecting rocks from the floor is not that different. And so those are her memories from the trip, and I think those those can also be very memorable. So she picked up little pieces of wood or rock or whatever on the floor in each of the landmarks we went to, and that was her way of keeping her memories. And I thought that was very interesting. So is there a special way how you keep your memories? Do you use photos? Do you collect physical things from each place you go to? What do you do? Now, moving on, I had a question that I thought was something that maybe you haven't thought of. I didn't really think about it until a couple seconds ago. But if you forget a memory, does it mean it wasn't meaningful or it wasn't important content? And I really want to kind of correct the way that I'm saying this, because when people talk to me and they have conversations, maybe this has happened to you before, but sometimes I blank out and I have no idea what happened. I just lost myself in the conversation, and then I have to ask, what were we talking about again? And now this is when I say that, I say it because I want to be honest. I want to say that I was trying to listen, or maybe something distracted me, but I didn't catch what that person said. And so I feel like it's better to let the other person know than just blankly stare and have no idea what's going on. But when I don't remember, I want to tell the people who I said this to before, because I have done this multiple times where I said, what are we talking about again? So it's not because of what we're talking about is not interesting or not important. I have no idea why it happened, and I can't really explain myself, but really just know that nothing is your fault. Nothing that you said was not important to me. It's just sometimes it happens, and I don't know what to say. But there's this other thing. If you remember your memories, does that mean that it's essential and important information, just vice versa of the question I just asked? Well, for me, I have the tendency to remember people's names to their faces from years back. So when I used to play basketball, we had a big league, girls and boys, and sometimes I would hear people, just the coaches, yell out a couple of teammates' names, and I've never spoken with them. I've never really seen them. I've only glanced maybe a couple of times, and then when I look back, oh, that those people are in my school now, and I remember their name, I remember their face, and then I say, hi, blank, and then they look at me and they're like, who are you? So I feel like, again, memories work in a really weird way, as in sometimes you just remember things that you can't help, because this happened quite a lot of times where I just remember the name to the face, and it doesn't have to be just in basketball. It was like randomly at a gathering, I remember someone's name and they have no idea who I am, but that's okay. And so there's just these strange things about memories that I'm wondering if it's the same for you. And that's kind of why I just wanted to talk about memories. It's like there's so many things you can draw out of just this one topic, and I was wondering if it was interesting to you. So to go off of this, I wanted to mention some other things that I kind of remember, and I don't know why, but there's a topic of dreams. And I remember my dreams most of the time because they're very vivid. They're lucid dreams. I can feel, I can touch, I can smell, taste, I can fly. I have very action-packed dreams, and I love the way that I dream. And all of a sudden, I just know that I've been starting to dream more about sports lately. I've been starting to dream more realistically about school, about my friends. And in the past, if you asked me what I dreamt about, it was like Indiana Jones version. There's like a bunch of obstacles. There were flying bugs everywhere. I could walk on the water, breathe underwater. I could escape. I had driving skills. You know, I'm still not able to drive, but in my dreams I can. And so there's a lot of things that I guess they're not specifically meaningful, but they're memorable. And a lot of these dreams are still in my memories to this day. Maybe we can talk about dreams another time, but they're just something that I know a lot of people forget. Other people don't want to remember their dreams. Sometimes there's nightmares, but what makes memories stick is also kind of what makes that moment exciting. I feel like, because when my dreams are exciting, when they have moments where I can connect, I feel like I remember them more. And I guess I just wanted to mention that. Now, here is the big question that I've kind of been leaning a little bit towards throughout this episode. But what do you do with bad memories? Now, for me, I wouldn't say that I have PTSD. I wouldn't say that I would be diagnosed with that. But when I was younger, I used to be bullied, and it wasn't just one person, it was multiple people, multiple groups. It was verbal and social and almost cyber. And so I feel strongly about this cause and talking about it, bringing awareness about it. So I'd really want to bring it up more in the future. But these memories, they're the kind that help you but also harm you in a way. And these are the bad memories that I said I keep in the back of my mind. Now, I don't think about them often, and so that's why I don't really think about my past often. But when something comes up that reminds me of it, or the similar scenario, sometimes I have a habit of constantly bringing back the other memories. And then I tell myself, most of the time, I still tell myself to this day, which is probably how I shouldn't think, but I tell myself, oh, well, these are just, this is just the past. Like, I already forgot about it. I don't even remember what happened, right? And then when those memories start flooding back in, I do remember, and I remember in detail. And so I wouldn't say I'm exactly observative, but I do notice small things that come back to me and hit me harder than I thought it would, because I just assume that I'm okay. And sometimes it's okay not to be okay, you know? It's okay to think about things and then let it go. Or think about things and see how they formed you to the way you are now. Because I am definitely a different person than I was before I was bullied. But I still kept this part of me where I'm still myself, but I'm a grown version of myself. And those are some things that memories can do. I like to say I haven't forgotten anything. I have forgotten things completely when that's not true. Sometimes we like to give ourselves white lies. And I guess that's a way to describe this situation right now. But the habit with bad memories is to put them in the back. And that's not something that we should always do, in my opinion. I feel like with bad memories, you just know that they're there. They're never gone completely. But if you still have them, they're there for a reason. So when I think about my memories in elementary and when I was picked on, I take these and I use it. I use it. So one time, if I see someone getting bullied, right, then I want to go up there and do something. And because I know how bad it felt. And sometimes people say, oh, you don't understand because you didn't go through it yourself. But maybe that's not true. You know, people around us are always trying to understand, or they're possibly trying to understand, but if you give them a chance, maybe they have outside advice, maybe they have outside words that change your view a bit. Because once you experience something, once you have these bad memories, sometimes your view is skewed. And I'd say the same thing for myself. So it's always nice to have another person around you, more words than just your own, and to take into consideration that everyone has different sides, everyone has different memories and experiences, and so on. Now, aside from bad memories, I wanted to mention good memories. And what do I do with good memories? Well, to be honest, I don't think I actually remember a lot of my happy memories, and that's not saying that they were not memorable. I love to look back on the happy things, but it really comes back to me when I look at pictures and such. But but I'm wondering, do you guys do anything with your good memories? Like, it sounds hard, or it sounds like usually there might be a reason for why you take these memories and then use it or see it in your daily life. I think that I would have to think on that more, you know? But anyways, these are my final thoughts for memories. They're really strange, but not in a bad way and not in the best way either. They're just their own thing that exists in the world. You can use them to help you, harm you, or just let them stay there and do nothing. I think that for me, talking about memories, talking about dreams especially, is something really fun for me. But sometimes when they're just hidden, it's okay to let it go. It's okay to put them somewhere and get back to where you're at now. And so, with what I talked about, all about memories, do you guys have any more questions, or are you wondering or thinking about the questions that I asked? Because maybe you feel something similar, or maybe you just thought this topic was interesting, or maybe not. But please let me know if you have any feedback. Thank you if you listened all the way, watched all the way. I'm so grateful. And have a nice rest of the day, morning, night, evening, wherever you are. Bye.